everyone, welcome to Wisdom Squared. It's June 19th, 2017, and today I'd like to talk about the Fed interest rate hike and what does it all mean, what does it all do? Well, they raised 0.25% or 25 basis points. So it's a very small, tiny raise. It's a big deal when they make the raise. They're trying to normalize their account by increasing interest rates. So what does that mean for the stock market? What does that mean for the housing market? Well, basically what happens is it increases your borrowing costs. So it makes it more expensive for you to get money. And by doing that, it's going to have effects throughout the markets. So if you have credit card debt, auto loans, student debt, trying to get a mortgage, these are all going to be negatively affected by them raising interest rates. And they've been doing slow little rates over the years just to get it back to normal. So right now it's at about 1% to 1.25% for the Fed interest rate. Now, in a normal type era, if things were going along smoothly, if everything was humming along, that would be 5% or greater. So we're still really behind the curve on the basis points. But even with these small little increases and these upticks, if you are going to try to get something, some sort of loan, you're going to have to pay a lot more for it. Now, for example, if people want to go out and get a new credit card, they would have been better 2 weeks ago before they raised the rates. So if they go ahead and get all these things now, credit card, auto loans, student loans, your mortgage, it all should be cheaper a few months ago. Now, the mortgage rates, something that I've been talking about on this channel, are definitely interesting. Now, it does have a direct influence on mortgage rates, but that's not the only thing that the mortgage rates are also tied to. They're also tied to U.S. bonds, so there's a little bit of influx there, and of course there's market watch with that too. So the last time they raised rates, it spiked up the mortgage rates. So what happened then was people were slowing down buying houses, so they had to drop it. So there's a little bit of free market that's involved there. It does take place into it, and when I've been talking about Zillow and the marketplace, this is not good news for buying a home. And if people were going to go out and get that 30-year fixed, this is something that, if you keep increasing the rates, it's going to become more expensive to be able to handle your loan. But what's the good side of them raising the rate? And the major positive to it is savings. So your savings is going to increase. So if you have money in the bank, right now you're getting like a measly 1% in a savings account, maybe even less. If they had things around 5%, let's say they increased the rate so much that your banks were yielding you about 5%, and you're from the baby boom generation, you're getting ready to retire. So over your lifetime, you've acquired about $1 million in savings, and you're getting a 5% yield in your savings account. Well, your interest on that is going to be $50,000 a year from $1 million with a 5% interest rate. That's pretty good money to live off of, plus everything else that goes into account. So these are some of the things that are really good when the Fed decides to raise interest rates. So if you got really high interest rates, say you had something crazy like 10 or 12%, and you have a large sum of money in your bank account, you're going to be able to live off that interest alone if you have a large amount of savings. One of the other negative things, though, about them raising interest rate is our government debt. It is now going to be more expensive to service the U.S. debt. And these are why the politicians want to keep these debt levels low, because if they continue to increase debt and they to increase the rate of these hikes, then things start to become even more unsustainable, and something's going to have to give. And these are questions that we're going to be answered down the road, how they're going to make these payments. Are we going to have some sort of new creation, maybe something like a new internet, some sort of American exceptionalism that'll help pay it down, or are they going to have to print more money to pay it down, or are they going to lower rates so it's easier to pay the debt? These are all questions that we'll see in the future, but thank you for listening.